Hi, welcome to the bathtub, where when you hear this theme song and you see me dancing like a goon, and you hear Dodo making a lot of noise in the background, you know it's time for another episode of Reading Great Books in the Bathtub. New Bopalula. This is our New Bopalula segment where we look at, this is the only show like this in existence, the International Bathing Alliance, where we just show you a bunch of new books. We haven't read them. We don't know anything about. We don't know too much about most of these books, but they look cool, and so we just show them to you. Dodo is tempting fate. She's trying to decide if she's going to stay in here with us today or not, and she's had a boring day, so I'm trying to be a little patient with her. And we're just going to show you a lot of cool books. I got a whole pile of them here because they've kind of really mounted up, and there's a lot of really neat ones in here. We're going to start off. I wrote a piece about this for The Spectator, which I'll probably put a link to eventually, but it hasn't come out yet. These are two books by the great S.J. Perelman. They came out through Library of America. And one's called Crazy Like a Fox, which is kind of like the best of Perelman. He was a very funny New Yorker writer. He's best known for he wrote some of the Marx Brothers movies. I think he worked on Monkey Business, and I forget the other one. He worked on two of the Marx Brothers movies. And he was a very funny guy. And Crazy Like a Fox is just some of his short humor pieces. They're all about 4 or 5 pages. They're very influential on Woody Allen. A lot of Woody Allen's essays and comedy pieces are very much like Perelman. Anyway, this came out. This has been in print many times over the years. It's kind of the best of S.J. Perelman. But this is the one I wrote a piece about, which is called Cloudland Revisited, which is sort of a new compilation of a series of essays which are perfect for the bathtub. They're perfect. They're basically... S.J. Perelman basically stole my idea of reading old books that you really loved that were really stupid. And he got ahead of me like 50, 60, 80 years ago. He was doing these series. So Cloudland Revisited, he goes back and reads all these books that he loved as a kid, like Tarzan and Fu Manchu. We've talked about all these books. And lots of kind of like romance novels with lots of fake or... metaphorical sex scenes, and with kind of like the sort of stuff as a teenager he used to read. Anyway, Cloudland Revisited is a lot of fun, and we did a piece about this, and I'm trying to remember all, but he does Tarzan, he talks about Theda Bara, he talks about all the stuff that he loved as a kid, and that if you want to read, somebody stole our idea many decades before we ever came up with it. You might want to read S.J. Perelman. And while we're at it, I found this... I have this is the Library of America volume of Perelman's writings from which those books were taken. Anyway, if you like Perelman, if you don't know who he is, you should probably check him out. He's very funny. We got a bunch of books here. I forget where this came from. It's called The Outpost. The Outpost. It's a science fiction novel by someone named Ben Date. I think it's called Collective Inc. Is that the publisher? I don't know how they found out about me. Cosmic Egg Books. And I don't know where the hell this came from. But anyway, it says here, Earth has been decimated by nuclear warfare and a new world has emerged from the ashes. So it's a post-nuclear science fiction novel. And that's all I know about it. The Outpost. Ben Date. I wish I could tell you more than I did. This is talking about kind of it's not post-apocalyptic, but it's called... dystopian fiction. This is one of our bathing buddies. This is James Marshall. Excelsior, James. This is his first novel. It's called The Poster. And I guess James has some military background. I think he's like some professional or amateur swimmer. Every time I hear from James, he's at some swimming pool somewhere in the world. It's his first novel. It's about a future dystopian England where they're going to war, of course, to keep everyone under control. You want to control your population, you send them to war against somebody else. And it's sort of a young adult novel, because it's about 2 teenagers, Lena and Alec. And the back, I haven't read it yet, but what little I've read, I can tell James can write. Seemingly abandoned by their parents, siblings Lena and Alec are caught up at different ends of a war. While Lena designs propaganda posters in Plymouth, Alec is forced into the army. Both dream of escape, of another life. And this comes out from another small press, which is called... Oh, heck if I know. I don't know I don't know what the press is. But anyway, it's available on Amazon, and hopefully all your good bookstores have it. Look at all these other cool books. Lots of cool books. These are Tachyon. I know who Tachyon is. I get a few books from Tachyon every once in a while, and we love Tachyon because they send us books to show you. And one of them's called, and they seem to be at the forefront of publishing a lot of the good, exciting new young science fiction and fantasy writers, which I don't know anything about. I never read it. I don't read anything new. You know me. I read really old stuff. This is a new book called These Fragile Graces, This Fugitive Heart by Izzy Wasserstein. This is coming out, or it's going to be coming out pretty soon, from Tachyon. It's got lots of good quotes from people I don't know. And a voice to watch out for in LGBTQ science fiction. And the quote on the back says, security expert Dora left her anarchist commune over safety concerns, but when her ex-girlfriend Kay is killed, everyone at the commune is suddenly a potential suspect. So it's a futuristic thriller with LGBTQ aspects to it. Here's another one from Tachyon. Quote says, a triumphant debut novel, Samantha Mills. She's a Nebula and Hugo Award winner. I don't know anything about what's going on these days, and so I don't know anything about her, except this is a first novel, it looks like. And it's Xenia was a teenager when she ran away from home to join the Mecha Gods warrior sect. Anyway, that's from Tachyon, and there seems like they seem pretty cutting edge SF and genre fiction to me, and we really like the people there, and that's all we can tell you about it. Except a kind of nice looking book, nicely designed. Here's something I know about. Oh no, here's one. Why don't we do all the Tachyons, because we got 3 Tachyon books here. The Runes of Engagement. And the quote on the front says, fun, action-packed, occasionally gritty, and full of jokes for geeks and Marines alike. I don't know, geeks and Marines, I guess somehow they fit together into the qualities of this book. And it looks like it's a comedy. The Lord of the Rings meets Call of Duty in this delirious mashup pitting confused soldiers against legendary monsters. Don't know anything about it, except Tachyon's doing it, so it must be pretty good. Okay, now we get some books and publishers I sort of know a little bit more about. This, we talked about Harry Crews, the great Harry Crews. Penguin's doing a really lovely, they seem to be bringing his stuff back into print, and in these nice, beautiful kind of uniform editions with nice covers. Does this have an introduction? Yes, it does have a foreword by S.A. Cosby, who I don't know. This is one of his later novels, The Knockout Artist. I haven't read it. They did two other ones. They did his autobiography, the title of which escapes me, and they did The Gospel Singer, I think one of his earliest novels. And I want to read this one, actually. This is one of the books I'll definitely put on I'll probably put this on the top of my stack of books I want to read fairly soon, just because it's a late Crews. I don't know it as well as some of the earlier Crews novels, and it's coming out, and Penguin's really doing a good job for him. Good going, Penguin. I'd like to see you publishing good books. Here's another this is kind of a new, it looks like it's a series from Tor, basically a science fiction and fantasy imprint, and they've been around for a long time. This is called Tor Essentials. It sounds like it's going to be kind of classic SF. This is how old I am. I don't think this is that old. I remember this book coming out. I think I read this, or I read some of it, and I like some of Swanwick. I don't know his work as well. I think mainly it's because the book started coming out when I wasn't reading as much SF, and so I don't reread it as much. But it's got an introduction by our buddy John Clute, so it must be good. And if John Clute likes it, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. And I do remember liking something about it. I did think I read this book, and I can't remember much about it except that it's now in a nice new edition. Michael Swanwick, Stations of the Tide. And there you go. What else have we got in here? We talked about those. Now, this is what I thought was kind of exciting. Well, here's 2 or 3 things I think are exciting. One, we're big fans here of Brian Evanson. We love Brian Evanson's work. Dodo, shut up, please. He's got a new book coming out called Goodnight, Sleep Tight. This is The Uncorrected Galley, and it's not coming out until publication date, September 10th. So you better be standing at the bookstore, your local bookstore, on September 9th. Get there early so you can get this book on September 10th when it comes out. It's a new book of short stories by the weird and wonderful Brian Evanson. We love Brian personally. We love his work, and it's got quotes by George Saunders, Errol Stein. I know who they are. And I've never read a story of his that wasn't pretty weird or pretty damn good. He's a really strange, interesting horror, fantasy, macabre writer. Finally, is this our last batch? This is really cool. We love Hippocampus. There's a lot of publishers we super love, and we super love Hippocampus. They do a lot of cool stuff. They've published a new novel, an unpublished novel by the great Michael Shea. We've talked about Michael Shea a bit in here. He wrote a lot of fantasy, SF, horror, and this is called Mama Dirt, which was written as his MA, his master's thesis when he was at the University of San Francisco. Many 20 or 30 years ago, I guess. There's a nice introduction by his wife, which I read at the beginning. And he's a really amazingly talented prose writer. He writes really beautiful prose. He writes kind of lots of different genre. He has affection for the genre, and he writes a lot of Lovecraftian stuff. He did a Jack Vance-like novel. And I haven't read a lot of him yet, but it's exciting that Hippocampus is the second unpublished Michael Shea novel they've brought out. And I don't know if I'll read this next. I want to read some of the stuff he did publish. I haven't read a lot of him. This is my favorite. This is the coolest new publication for this episode. The first 2 volumes of a big project that the great people at Hippocampus, including S.T. Joshi, the great editor and historian of fantastic and weird tales. The first 2 volumes have an Algernon Blackwood complete short stories. We've talked about Algernon Blackwood. We came late. We're old farts, and we came late to reading weird tales. And Lovecraft, only a few years ago did I ever read Lovecraft for the first time with appreciation. And Algernon Blackwood, who I read because of Joshi's work and some of his anthologies he's done. And this is the first volume, is called The Willows, which is possibly his most famous story. An incredible story. I actually reread it read it twice in the past few years. And I'm kind of excited about this. This is 2, I think there's going to be 6 volumes, really good introductions by Joshi. They're cool looking editions. These just came out. I think I just got them. They're copyright 2023. But I think they were kind of delayed because Hippocampus is doing so many things. Anyway, exciting. The great, weird Algernon Blackwood. You can find some of his old videos because he used to be BBC. And I think he read stories late at night on BBC. Anyway, you can find some of those on YouTube. Very interesting, very unusual, very haunting horror writer, or maybe weird tales. Weird writer. A writer of weird tales, not maybe horror fiction. There you go. Lots of cool books. Some of these are going straight to our to be read pile, and I'll try to put a link to my piece on Perelman somewhere in the intersphere. There. And have a great day. Happy bathing. Bye.